Good morning, everyone. Today is Monday, May 19th, 2025. My name is John471, and this is the opening swing. Allow me to read our disclaimer. Derivatives trading is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Let's begin today, as we always do, with our news. As noted, today is Monday, the 19th. We really have no big data points on the calendar today. Leading indicators at 10 a.m., which is really a second tier number. Where is it? Leading index right there. And we also have obviously Trump on the calendar as well. So potential for unscheduled news. We also have quite a few Fed speakers beginning at 8:30 Eastern. We have Bostic at that time, and then again at 8:45, Bostic again, along with John Williams. 1:15, we also have Lori Logan and Neil Kashkari at 1:30. So there are a few speakers today. Let's move on to our charts. Okay, here we are with a chart of the S&P 500. This is full session daily bars. And just sort of checking in with the narrative that we had, we'll go over it quickly. Since making our bottom, we had this area of structure. It was a big chunk of the March range that we were looking for price to potentially recover. We did in this area, and we pushed through it. The key area here is the 58.21s. That's really the key area. It's this price right around here. And that is our composite VPOC going back like 2 years. So it's the most traded price in 2 years. And it's kind of a big, fulcrum in the lever, in my opinion. And we were able to kind of just grind right through it, just push through that area. And so now for me, essentially, we have this area, this range up here, and we have this range that I just drew. And price is basically between the two of them, trying to decide which one it wants to kind of trade in. And in terms of us, our big targets above, we got up to the 59.80s. There's some single prints left from March 3rd that are really key. I mentioned those. We'll go over them again. But that's kind of that's a big sort of waypoint for me. And 6,000 is really a key psychological number as well. Those are the targets I'm really looking for here. On reversion lower, things really don't get interesting until we get to around this level, the 58.21s again. And that's where I would kind of expect support to be coming in. And if support does not come in, then we might see a change. We might start to explore these prices again. Let's move on to a smaller time frame chart and discuss all of this a bit more specifically. Okay, we're going to discuss this chart briefly. This is our TPO chart of the S&P 500, RTH only. And this shows all of last week. And you can see last week we opened gap higher from the prior week. And pretty much every week we were able to move, or every day we were able to move value higher, with the exception of this day. But if we just look at kind of what happened here, let's do a color that is visible. Let's try, let's see, how about green? So what we see here is the market, we opened here, we pushed higher, and then we kind of tried to pull back, but we couldn't. We hit clear demand, in my opinion, and then pushed higher, found an offer, which looked like maybe it was resistance, but we could not pull back again and pushed higher. Finished the week right here with these single prints left on Thursday. So what that's saying to me pretty clearly, look at what we did. We pushed up, tried to pull back, couldn't, and then just continued. So what that's telling me is this area right here, there is, or at least there was, support. Now overnight we've traded down into these single prints. And so basically, in my opinion, how this kind of works out around the single prints and around this area of trade is going to be pretty important today. I think for us to have like a clear directional move today, we'd have to be moving away from this area. We'd have to see either this area was controlled by buyers, so we'd have to see support happen and push higher from here. we have settlement open. Or if this area is no longer supported, we'd want to see sellers put the exact opposite, push away. We'd be looking for this low initially. And then if we start to lose that price, there are plenty of targets below. But that's what we want to see. What I don't want to see so much is just chop and indecision around this area. That would be not as good of a trade for me. Let's move on to our intraday chart and discuss specific price action. Okay, here we are on our intraday chart. Let's discuss what we have going on here. So as I kind of noted, we've seen some reversion overnight. Here is Friday's range. Friday's VPOC and settle way up here. Here are those singles I talked about that we just missed, the 82s. We got up to, I guess it was just 77.5. And 82s are these last remaining singles from 3-3 that I talked about. So anyway, we opened the overnight session here. We pushed up. We had a couple sets of singles left from Friday right here. And we pushed up. We're unable to get back to those singles and reverted lower into these Thursday singles. Here's the range of the day I talked about, which was Wednesday. I talked about being an important day. We basically have this zone here as around the low, this zone around the high. And as you can see, we've reverted lower. Looking at this overnight profile, you see that we pushed into what was clearly a bid right here, clearly some support, pushed into it. The sellers kept, pushing until they were filled, attempt to rally, and then reverted lower. So looking at this profile, we have this area, this VPOC right here, and then just releasing into this toothy area where it's like they tried to hold, and then it was just like, we fell down, and now we're not sure what's going to happen here. So that's where we're at. Let's discuss the bearish ideas first, but it doesn't really matter what direction we go. Or it doesn't matter which one we discuss first. Everything, I see no super strong bias for where we'll go from here. It's because right here I'm seeing sellers, and right here we've seen buyers in this area. So we're, I'm not really sure which is the stronger hand, but here's how it would go. Looking for bearish ideas first. We have this zone which corresponds to the high of Wednesday, which I discussed. So for me, the most bearish idea would be if we really just don't get through this area or don't test it. So basically we're kind of coming off the low right here, pushing back into the singles. So if we just end up kind of grinding around here, maybe push higher into this area and then revert lower and are unable to hold above, then I would be expecting us to be trading this area during RTH and eventually make a push to take the overnight low and push into this 58.80 zone. This would be really my key target for shorts. This would be basically the best. I mean, essentially this volatility is starting to die down a little bit. So this would actually probably be a really nice trade today. If we were able to see this push up into here, look like it wants to rally, and then see the sellers come in and get a nice setup to trade short for the overnight low, that would be wonderful. And my key target would be this zone. Now, if we hit this zone strong, this would be really a solid place for the buyers to step in. We get some reversion, but we don't take out the low. So I would not be shocked to see a lick check here that pushes us right back above Century. And then we just end up kind of trading this range, trading this is our monthly profile right here. It's pretty accepted in this area. So I would not be shocked to just see some support there that kind of brings us back into range, potentially even reverses the day. But if that does not happen, and if sellers are really aggressive today and we start to continue, we can't get back above Century, then obviously I would be looking for tests of the 62 to 66 area. We have our CPI SOC, which has not been retested during RTH. So that would be the next target on the way down. Again, this is an area where I would expect support to emerge right below here where everybody's stop is. I would expect to see some support. If that support cannot emerge, our extended target this week for downside is going to be right here. Our 58.21 is a price I've talked about a lot. So I don't think we'll hit it today. I'm not expecting it. But if we start to lose, if we start to push below this 62 area, take out this SOC and keep pushing, this would be the extended target with obviously mid-century as a key stop. All right, let's discuss bullish ideas. What would the bullish ideas be? Guess what? They're kind of just the opposite here. They would also just be really predicated on these 20s, on this area of 20. So regardless, we could have what I just discussed, like an attempt higher, pushes lower, take out the overnight low, whatever. Anything could happen below the 20s. It doesn't matter. What I'm saying is if we get above these 20s, boom, push into the overnight VPOC and start to see stops go off and start to see this area accepted by buyers. Like what I'm talking about is like if we just see price push up into here and then just get smoked down below with an impulse, then that's not accepted. But if you see price push up into this area, push into this area, hold for a second, extend, pull back, hold again, extend further, then that's acceptance. And then I'm starting to think, okay, well, maybe if they're willing to buy these prices, then they might be willing to buy these prices because we just saw that they don't want to buy these prices anymore, or nobody wants to sell these prices. There's no sellers left. Buyers are now willing to accept these prices. So the logical next step, if they're willing to accept these, might be the next price up, maybe. But anyway, so seeing acceptance in this area, taking this VPOC, then I would be open to tests of this 40 zone. And if the 40 zone is not rejected, then I would be open to the overnight high and these key 59.50 singles. Now, this is where a weak rally could just get smoked back into oblivion and back into balance right here, in my opinion. It's right at these 59.50 mid-century areas, somewhere in this area. This is where I could see sellers asserting themselves. It might be a push through, revert lower, whatever. But this is where the rally, this is where the buyers would, in my opinion, have to really decide if they got any juice. This in the overnight high here, this would be my key target on the long side because basically what I'm saying is I could see us push up to this area and that would be about it for the day. But if we don't, if we push up into this area again and we start to see once again stops go off, extension higher, then I am open to taking out the remaining singles at the 57s and potential continuation. For our naked weekly settle has been untested. So that would be my key extended target. Basically this whole area from the prior week settle, 75s up to 82s, that key area, those key singles. This would be my key extended target. If we get through this, it's just runners to 6,000 today, in my opinion. All right, what would be our nothing day? Our nothing day would obviously be really just anything that just stays mostly within the overnight range. You know, we have about 55 points. So anything that just kind of stays in this area, bounces around, would be a potential outside in nothing day. Boom. All right, I think that's pretty complete. I think we covered what's going on. We're out of range, so there is some potential for a little bit of movement, but we're still well within the prior week's range. We're out of range because we finished the week pushing to an extreme, and now we've reverted. So now we're just kind of inside the prior week's range, although we're out of range versus the prior day. So there's a potential for some movement, for some trading today, but also just based on the fact that we're within the prior week's accepted area, it might not be as clean as we hope, but we'll see. Anyway, that's what I got for you today. I hope you're having a great day. I hope your great day continues. And I hope more than anything that you find a way to hit the like button and get us to 10,000. I bet you thought I was going to say something else because I usually say something else right there. But I wanted to add that in. If you could hit that like button. If you enjoy this, that would be great. Help us get to 10,000. But aside from that, I just hope you're having a great morning, and I hope your great morning continues. I hope you find some way to improve your trading today that is not dependent upon your P&L. Any questions, ask me in the chat room. Always happy to help. And that's it. I guess we'll just continue on and get to the clock and ticks part of the day. Let's do it. All right, everybody. Ciao.